Hey, what's up everyone? Tim here from Everyday Tactical Vids. Today we're doing a head-to-head video between these two knives right here. We've got the Benchmade Crooked River and we're putting it up against the Victorinox Hunter Pro. As we start off here, I want to give a shout out to Smoky Mountain Knife Works. Their website is smkw.com, and they help make this review possible. So here's how I'm going to organize the video. First, I'm just going to roll in some footage of both these knives in use, and then we're going to come back and look at the different features of the knives and just basically put them head to head. So the handles, the blade styles, the blade shapes, ergonomics, and by the end you'll have a sense of which one of these might be a good outdoor or woods knife for you. Let's start off here and compare the two handles. The walnut is good. I did get this one wet, and as long as you don't leave it, totally soaked, the water seems to repel nicely off it. So they've treated it with something, obviously. I was concerned at first that if it got wet, it was gonna get really slippery and stay wet, but it seems to repel that water quite well. This is stabilized wood on the Crooked River, so you can also get this with, I believe, a G10 as well. So you've got a couple different options for the types of handles with the Crooked River. Both of them are quite comfortable. I think the thing I like about the Victorinox is that it comes with a sheath and therefore there's no clip. And I would say out of a lot of Benchmade knives that I've used, this one, the clip affects my hand the least when I actually hold on to it. But it's still, there's a clip there that's kind of, digging into the bottom of your hand, whereas on the Victorinox, there's nothing there. And this is a pretty beefy handle. You can see, I'll just put these two side by side. You can see there's just a kind of, it's just chunky, it's beefy for the Victorinox. So it does feel kind of like a folding bushcraft style knife that you're using when you're carving with this. Now that said, I do like on the Crooked River, this kind of hooks back. So when I'm holding it, yeah, I mean, I've got really good control on it. The jimping on this, I do like. It's just above the middle kind of area as far as from mild to aggressive. It's just a little bit beyond the middle there. But that gives me really good control. Overall, there's pluses and minuses to each of the handles. It's kind of a break even depending on what you're looking for. I do like the fact that this has a clip because I do carry this as a pocket knife. I'm generally not a sheath guy, so I'm not huge on the sheath that comes with it. It is pretty nicely made, but for me this is kind of a break even when it comes to the handles and their actual function and the ergonomics of them. Since I did just mention it, I want to show you the sheath for the Victorinox. It is a nice sheath. I'm not a huge sheath guy like I said, but for sheaths this and a folding knife, this one actually does a nice job. It's got a little bit of cordage on there for opening it up. You got your hook and loop. And then on the back, you can attach this to MOLLE or to some of your gear. And then obviously you can just run a belt through that as well. I'm not totally sure what the material is. It kind of has a leather-like feel, but it's very, very soft and pliable. So whatever it is, I think for a folding knife, this is one of the better sheaths that I've seen over the years. Let's talk about the blades real quick. We've got a spear point with a saber grind and a secondary bevel. It is 440C for the steel, and it is bead blasted, so it's kind of a matted down, M-A-T-T-E, matted down finish. Over here we've got S30V. You got the clip point. They're calling that a high flat grind, and then it's pretty much a satin finish, but it's got kind of a stone wash up on the top section there. So what did I notice about these things? First, they both have a couple dings in them. They held up both quite well. This one has 3 little dings. This one has 1 little ding. But I did a lot of aggressive work with them, and both of them held up nicely. Second thing I'll tell you is that I was impressed with the tip on this one because I knew the tip on this one was going to be good. I mean, just look at that thing. that is definitely going to pierce. This one I wasn't as sure, just comparing those two. But it, as you saw in the earlier footage, this thing definitely pierced well. So I was impressed with how well that actually pierced into stuff and allowed me to cut. S30V versus 440C, most people are going to say, oh, S30V every day. But Victorinox does a really good job with their heat treat, and just overall, a 440C from Victorinox, I'm not saying it's necessarily equal to an S30V as far as how premium it is, but they do a very good job with it, and this thing has done excellent in all the tests that I put it through. Just showing it to you once again. As far as sharpening, both these guys are going to be very easy to sharpen, and not a ton of recurve and all kinds of crazy angles or anything, so that shouldn't be a problem whatsoever. As far as your locking mechanism, you got the access lock on this and then a back lock on this. They both, I didn't have any issues. Nothing, was loose or wobbling or shaking. The access lock just kind of wins the day. I think it's, in my opinion, it's probably the best locking mechanism out there for folding knives. But again, that said, I don't think there's going to be any major issues with this. If I had to pick one, I would pick the access lock hands down. But this one, it did fine. And it is a back lock, so some people sometimes are concerned, are you going to bump it and it's going to fold on you? But because of the beefiness of the handle, I don't think you're going to have any issues with the locking mechanism on the Hunter Pro. Let's put a hypothetical situation out there and talk about customer service. What if you had an issue with one of these two knives? Well, for Benchmade, for me, I've got a good relationship with my friend Derek over there, and so I don't feel like I can fairly assess how they would interact with me versus someone who is just a customer. Like, I work with them, so I'm going to have probably a different relationship. I have heard good things about their customer service, but again, I have to kind of say I don't know, because I have a different relationship with them than probably the average customer does, just because I know them a little bit. As far as Victorinox, I have not interacted with anybody from Victorinox. I haven't had to. I can tell you one thing, that a buddy of mine at SHOT Show went over to their booth and they were not particularly engaged with him. Now, you can take that to the bank and say, oh, they have bad customer service. For me, I'm like, I would say, kind of to be determined what their customer service is like, because it's SHOT Show. Was it the second to last day? Was it super busy? What were the reasons behind that? It wasn't a great moment for them that they didn't interact with somebody who was at their booth, but nonetheless, that's not their customer service. When you buy a knife has an issue, and then you send it back or contact them. So I'd be interested to hear from both you guys, whether you've interacted with Victorinox or Benchmade. What's your experience been with their customer service? And share that in the comments. And if you're watching this video, check out the comments to see what people say about that, because that's going to give you insight onto, if you do have an issue, how is the company going to handle it as you engage with them. Let's talk price point, and then I'll give you some final thoughts. You're talking about just a little bit under $200 for the Crooked River and just a little over $100 for the Hunter Pro. So it's not chump change either way, but you're paying about double for the Crooked River versus what you're going to be paying for the Hunter Pro. So you got to figure, into your systems and what you're going to be spending money on. How does that work out for you? Are you saying, well, I can get two of the Hunter Pro, so I'm going to go with that? Or no, I like the features, the steel, whatever it is, on the Crooked River more, so I'm going to invest in that. Final thoughts here, basically who wins the day. I have always loved the Crooked River. There's rumor that Benchmade's going to come out with a smaller version of this, and I will be really psyched. I like this big version for even EDC. For me, I don't mind a big knife, definitely in the woods, but a smaller version of this, I would definitely EDC. I just think it's a beautiful knife, nicely made, lots of great features. It just kind of scratches the itch for me. That said, the reason I got the Hunter Pro is because I felt like it could compete at half the cost with the Crooked River, and I feel like it really did. I'm definitely a huge Benchmade fan. I'm getting into Victorinox more. This is probably like the third or fourth that I've actually tested out and spent some time with. But really, it felt like a break even to me. If you're like, I love Benchmade, I love that style, and I want S30V, then I think the Crooked River is going to be the one you're going to want to go with. If you like 440C, if you like the look of this, they also have a black handle. I think they've got an orange handle for this as well, and those are a little bit less expensive. This guy performed really in an excellent way for me. And yeah, if you wanted like a woods knife, I think this would do a good job. Now, I will say, if you're looking for a knife to do field dressing because you're a big hunter, the Crooked River wins the day. I mean, just look at that sweeping edge on that clip point. I just think that's gonna be excellent. The spear point is not going to be nearly as good. But that said, if you're looking for just like a general outdoors kind of utility knife when you're in the woods, I think both of these are worth checking out. And at a little over 100 and close to 200, definitely going to be saving money with the Victorinox Hunter Pro. Now for me, would I spend $100 for this, or am I willing to spend an additional $100 for the Crooked River? I would spend that almost $200 for this. I like this knife that much. When it comes to the Benchmades I've had, which is, I don't know, 20, let's say, give or take. This is probably in the top 3 for me. So this is, you know, a favorite for me from Benchmade. And then when it comes to just like an outdoor folding knife, this thing is just off the charts for me. My preference, the style, the look, the function, features, all that stuff. So yeah, both the knives are really good. You got to pick what's going to be best for you. But for me, still, the Crooked River wins the day. I want to direct you over to smkw.com, Smoky Mountain Knife Works. That's smkw.com. I got links down below in the description section, and you can pick up either one of these knives, or they've got a ton of other knives as well. Thanks as always for watching the videos. We have a couple more queued up for you right there. Please subscribe to Everyday Tactical Vids here on YouTube if you haven't done so already. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, check us out on Instagram and Tumblr as well. More videos coming soon. Take care.